Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. And in this update, we are actually going to do a complete long-term Elliott Wave analysis on Near Protocol because a lot of you guys are saying, well, okay, in every single update, I'm just talking about the short-term price action. So from this point moving forward, we are going to do longer videos, and also in each video, I'm going to try to explain what is my framework of analysis in the long term, and then we are going to go on some lower time frames and see what is happening in like very short term. So are you ready? Let's dive in and see what is going on. So in your protocol, in the long term, I'm actually very optimistic. Why? Simple reason. In terms of Elliott waves, I do think that this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave on the upside, as you can see with all the subwaves. And you might say, well, okay, this looks a lot like a wedge structure. However, pay attention, this chart is actually on logarithmic scale. Now, if I put it on regular, there we go. I think this is actually an expanding leading diagonal. Followed by that, we are having a correction down, a beautiful looking ABC zigzag. And what is going on from the lows? Let's go around here. You see, if you want to argue in Near Protocol, we have hit our final low, then okay, you're actually better off finding off of the lowest low a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as opposed to other structures. This specific scenario is called an impulsive structure. Rules for it are we should not have overlapping of the waves between wave 2 and 4, and in any kind of 5 wave, our wave 3 is not allowed to be the smallest wave. And when it comes to the subwaves, I think if you are a regular viewer of the channel, you know what I'm about to say. We're gonna have 5 wave up into wave 1, 3, and 5, and for wave 2 and 4, we can have different scenarios. Let's say ABC into 4 and maybe a WXY structure into wave 2. Now, let's go on the live chart and see what is happening in this area. And as you can see, off of the lowest low, we are able to find a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you might say, well, okay, this is definitely an optimistic sign, and fair enough, it can be a bullish sign. However, the end of our phase up from the lowest low in here wasn't actually at this point. No, it was at this point. So what you have in here, 5 up, correction down, most likely another 5 wave on the upside. And I do think these might be the sub waves for an ABC zigzag and not a 5 wave on a higher degree, which this ABC zigzag, by the way, sort of kind of got confirmed when in Near Protocol, in this phase down, we took the low of our B leg right in here. So essentially, I do not believe that we are having in here a traditional bullish setup in Near Protocol. However, this doesn't necessarily mean that we're not going to have another phase of the bull run. No, absolutely not. I do think we are going to get a move on the upside. However, in what way and when specifically are we going to get that move? You know what? That can be fully up for debate. Now, I want to be very clear. This is actually my primary scenario, meaning you can have many different counts in here, and if you have a different opinion than mine, I absolutely respect yours, okay? It's very important to understand that there is no certainty in any market, and for all I know, maybe this scenario is not going to play out, and I'm going to be like absolutely 100% wrong. But based on my analysis, this is actually the best that I can find. Now, in Near Protocol, I do believe that we are going to get at least another move up in order to take the highest high in here for the first target, about $9. But I think we're actually going to go quite a bit higher than that, somewhere around preferably this area. Where is it? Between, excuse me, let's just take this one again, between 12 to about $11 and a half. Now, why is this region so important? For two very important reasons. You see, this is actually a very important resistance area from weekly and daily time frame at the same time, and it actually goes back to all the way up here. Now, just because this is a resistance, is it guaranteed for us to go up and reach to about here? No, not really. In fact, there is no guarantee in any market, but I actually do have another very important reason to believe we are probably going to at least in Near Protocol get to around this area. And that comes down to gaps. You see, when we got this move down, this actually happened way too fast. And as a result of it, also right in here about, I think it was like $10 and a half, we did create a very important gap. And guess what? that one is also on weekly time frame. And whenever you have gaps on higher time frames, that actually gives it a lot of validity. And in my view, gaps 95+% of the time are going to get filled. So I'm gonna say probably by the end of this cycle, you are at least going to see somewhere between an 11 to about a $13-14 near protocol, meaning from the current point, we can expect about like a 400% on the upside. Now, does this mean that we're gonna go up effective immediately right now? No, not necessarily, but here is what I have to tell you. I think if we get a move up from the current area in near protocol, let's say in about the next 60 to 80 days, that move most likely is going to be in form of something like an ABC zigzag. And since this is another ABC in my primary case, I'm gonna say overall in here, you're not going to have an impulse. You're actually going to have a correction on a higher degree in form of a WXY in form of a double zigzag. And here is the thing. If this scenario is in play, then okay, we may not necessarily go up and take the highest high about $21. Does this mean, again, it's absolutely going to play out? Nope, not really. Who knows, maybe tomorrow we're going to wake up and see a very strong move in near protocol and we may have already taken the highs. That's also a possibility, but you know, I do like to keep you on the grounds a little bit and not necessarily get your hopes up that much. So for now, let's count on this phase up at least to happen in near protocol, and then okay, we are going to make new videos and see what might be the next likely move. For now, let's just count on a great move on the upside. Now, here is another count in near suggesting, again, conclusion is the same. We are going to have another move up. However, that move is not actually going to start from here. In fact, we are going to do something like this, get a move up and then a move down, and then maybe something like that. Now, that scenario suggests that in here, we are actually having a starting from the highs to about the recent price action. I'm going to say probably a bit more than that. A triangle structure in terms of Elliott waves and A, B, C, D, E. And in terms of the subwaves, basically, you have to be able to find ABCs in every single wave. There we go. ABC down into our Elliott. Now, I think I had this count on this chart from TradingView. Excuse me, this is Yasmin Coin's chart. Sorry about that one. Was it on this thing? Yeah, there we go. So you see, according to this scenario in near protocol, we are having from the highs to about the lows, ABC down, like we talked about it also a couple of minutes earlier, into a wave A now, and then ABC into B. This can be an ABC down into C, and followed by that, you may see in here ABC up and then another ABC on the downside. And this whole phase can take, let's say, about 2 or 3 months. And then it's going to be time to have another move up. And what's the difference between this and the previous count? You see, the previous scenario in near protocol suggested that we are actually going to get a move up, but in it, we are not going to take the highest high about $21. However, this scenario is a little bit different. Why? Because basically, according to this count, you are having 5 waves off of the lowest low, but it's going to be into an A leg now and then triangle into wave B, and you are going to witness another great move up into C, and in it we are going to take the highs for the first target about $21, but we are probably going to go quite a bit higher than that, maybe somewhere between 25 to 30 bucks. The points that I'm trying to make is this: you can consider many different counts in your protocol, but you really cannot ignore the fact that most of them are actually looking quite bullish and optimistic. So by the end of this cycle, let's count on another move up, but let's not say that we have to set an all-time high. No, we can do other scenarios. So it's always great to keep an open mind when it comes to checking the structures and just simply take everything step by step. For now, let's just understand that we are looking bullish, and as long as I'm not proven otherwise, I am going to stick with these counts. Now, let's go on our own chart from Binance and see what is happening in the short term. So here is why I do like this WXY in form of a double zigzag structure a little bit better. You see, in a triangle, this suggests that we're going to have an ABC in form of a zigzag down, and in a zigzag, you're going to have for the sub waves 5 down into A like this, correction for wave B, let's say an ABC, it doesn't really matter, and then another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down into C. Now, Having said that, let's go on the live chart and see what is going on and answer me this, please. How exactly are you able to find from the highest side to about this point a 5 wave down if you want to say this is an ABC zigzag? In my view, this initial move on the downside from the highs to about this low looks a lot like either an ABC or maybe a WXY, generally anything other than a 5 wave on the downside. That's why I'm going to say, you know what, in your protocol, this is probably a WXY down to about the lows, and sure, the bottom is in, but in the next phase on the upside, I actually expect an ABC and not necessarily a 5 wave. And since this is also the most pessimistic scenario between all the bullish ones, and it's not really going to get our hopes up too much, so you know, I do like this count a little bit than the others. Now, having said that, let's zoom in more and see what is going on in here, and maybe it's best to go on H4 time frame. So here's the thing. In your protocol, you can consider so many different scenarios, but most of them right now, as long as I'm not proven otherwise, and I'm going to tell you in a bit when is it that I'm going to be proven otherwise, most of the counts do look bullish. For instance, here is one. You see, this scenario suggests that we are having from this point to about here 5 wave up, and this is actually quite a clear one. I don't really think that I'm able to find any other structures in here. So let's say this is 5 up into 1, correction for wave 2, and what's next? Great move up into wave 3 and 4 and 5, and that can be on a higher degree into a wave 3 and then 4 and then 5, and that's going to be into a wave A, correction for wave B, and another move on the upside into our ceiling. And if this count is happening, then okay, going down in your protocol big time is simply not an option. However, I think it is allowed that we have some sort of a move on the downside, and the question is, okay, where's going to be our invalidation point for the bullish count? Because here's the thing, you shouldn't really stuck with any scenario forever, and for each and every single possibility, you need to be able to find a key invalidation point. So what's it going to be for this one? I'm going to say it's actually going to be taking this important low down here about $2.2. Why? Because let's assume that in here we are actually not that lucky, and soon we're going to see a move down in order to take the loss. At that point, answer me this: how exactly are you able to find a 5 wave from this point to about this high? I'm going to say this: it's not actually impossible to find one, and maybe you're going to say, look, this is ABC down followed by some sort of a WXY on the upside, I don't know, and this is like another 1 2 3 4 5, so overall we may end up having an ABC flat, and the bullish count might still be in play starting from the lows. But here is what I have to tell you: the shape of that 5 wave that you are able to find, and also the shape of this whole correction down, is going to look so odd to a degree that is not really going to be anybody's primary case. And that's why I'm gonna say, look, the moment that in your protocol we see a move down and on it we take this low about $2.28, at that point we should actually consider this move up as just a very simple ABC zigzag and not an impulse, indicating number one, we cannot have immediately a very strong bounce, and number two, we can have two scenarios. Either we are going to have some more chopping around, which is going to take some time and it's going to be absolutely annoying, I guarantee you that, or scenario number two, we're going to get a continuation of the move down in order to take the lowest low down here about $1.8. Either way, at that point, the bullish count is not actually going to be our primary case, nor even, I would say, our alternate scenario. It's actually going to be the third likely possibility. So for now, in near, as long as we are not taking this low, let's count on a bullish structure playing out in here, and that suggests in the next, I'm gonna say probably 3 to 4 weeks, we are actually going to have a very strong move on the upside in order to get out of this area. And we really have been playing with these levels way too many times, and you know my stance on it. If you want to consider this whole area as a decent resistance, then okay, because we have been playing with this level way too many times, chances of getting a break of it is now increasing by the minute. And let's just have a quick count. How many times did we touch this region? This can be 1 2 3 4 5, let's go in here. There we go. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times we have reached to about this resistance, and every single time we got some sort of a reaction from it. So in my view, this is now absolutely a weak resistance, and odds are, and hopefully actually soon, we are going to get a break out of it, and our move up at that point is going to accelerate a fair amount. And why do I say this? Because let's go around here. Here is a top tip for you. You see, the main reason for why we recognize an area as a resistance is actually because of the amount of short position that are around here already. Let's say initially we are having 20 positions in here, and the first time that the price touches this, 5 of those are going to get activated, and as a result you are only going to have 15 orders remaining. Another time we're going to touch it, another 5 are going to get activated, you're going to have only 10 orders remaining. Another time we're going to touch it, let's say this time 7 orders are going to get activated, you're going to have 3 orders remaining. Another time we're going to touch it, another 1 are going to get activated, you are only going to have 2 orders remaining. Excuse my bad handwriting. And there will be a time where you're going to reach to about here, and as a result of these price actions, you are not going to have any short positions in here, meaning what? That's actually going to be the time to get a break of this area, and by that we mean we go above it, do a pullback, and then get a continuation of the move up. So I hope I explained this well, because I think this concept is actually going to be really helpful if you understand that, and you can actually use this thing in your own analysis. So if you found any resistance on any chart from any market, doesn't really matter, and if you realize that okay, we are touching it more than 4 or 5 times, at that point that level is not really shortable. You need to count on a break of it, and on the pullback phase you can actually open some long positions and make a decent bit of money. So I'm gonna say probably the next time that in your protocol we are going to have a 1 2 3 4 5 an impulse, it's actually going to be the time to get a break of this thing, and then do a consolidation above it, and then we get a very strong move on the upside, and your patience will finally get rewarded big time. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in here. Anyway, if you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent TA in order to be able to make good money in the market, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.